Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Pretty Little Podcast. I'm Allie, Violet Vixen Commissaro. Tonight we are bringing you some nostalgia. If you grew up anywhere near radio in the late 90s, this next guest needs no introduction, but they're getting one anyway. They're the voices behind songs that defined a generation of summer nights, slow dances, and pure pop magic. With chart topping hits, unforgettable hooks, and a legacy that still resonates decades later, this band became a permanent part of pop culture history. Tonight, we're diving into the story behind the music, the memories, and the meaning that still carries forward. Please welcome Brad Fischetti from the legendary LFO.
Oh, that was one of the most beautiful intros I've ever heard from me. So,
Oh, thank you.
oh, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Now, question for you. Did you memorize that or did you have a cheat sheet?
I have a cheat sheet.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for being
You know
honest. I was
what?
like,
I
oh,
I try like I'll have I have keywords. It's not a
no, I
full
got it.
cheat sheet, but
Okay, so it's not like a
keywords.
teleprompter, like where it goes wrong. You're like, and he was a Backstreet Boy. Wait a second, what happens? No, that's
No, I
cool.
didn't need to take it that far, but last names, yeah, I have
Yeah.
to, or I'll just say whatever is on my mind. But
I only known you for about 2 minutes, but I can tell you probably say what's ever on your mind.
I do.
Mhm.
Sometimes it gets me into trouble. Sometimes
Yeah,
it
you
makes
never
people
know what comes
remember
out,
me.
right? Yeah, for sure.
But how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. Been a little bit of a crazy few days, but all is good. I'm blessed, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight.
Well, we are so excited to have you here. So, I want to start off with let's talk about one of the reasons that you're here and how I got connected with you. The shows you have coming up. I am so excited, and I get to work the door at the one at Rivet. So, I'm like really excited for
Oh,
that.
sweet. So you'll be there at the show. That's awesome. Yeah. So obviously the story of LFO is kind of a long and tragic one, but um, almost the culmination of it, or um, the product of all the experiences, good and bad, um, ex- product of the pain, the darkness, the light, the faith, the lack of it, is this show I call the LFO story. And it's a show I developed during COVID when there were no shows. Um, and
And
it's
you
a
had to be
show where,
creative.
yeah, yeah, I did a live stream at that time, and it's a show where we tell the story of LFO from 1974, when Rich Cronin was born, up until today. And we play music of the time, music that inspired us, of course, loads of LFO music. And then I tell personal stories of how the band came together, how the songs came together, and losing the guys, losing my faith, going into the darkness and depression. And it's an emotional roller coaster, but we end big, and it's a beautiful experience. I travel with my band, so it's great having the band out there with me. And then Trevor from O Town will be joining me as well, and he hops on stage for some songs, so that's pretty cool. And
Now,
it's an
how did
emotional
you
roller
guys get
coaster.
connected?
Well, I've known the O Town guys since they first started, which was way back in like 2000 or 2001. And for the last over 6 years now, I've been doing a tour called the Pop 2000 Tour, which today is Christian and Sink, Old Town, Ryan Cabrera, BB Mac sometimes. And
All the legends.
yeah, seriously, sometimes Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray,
That's got to be so
sometimes
fun.
David Cook. Yeah, it's crazy. So um, the Old Town guys back me up for the LFO set. And so I've had this beautiful opportunity to sort of have bandmates again, and build stage chemistry with them, and particularly with Trevor, because we just kind of click, and he comes out and does some of these LFO story shows with me. So we've had a chance to perform together these shows as well. But that's sort of how I really became close with the O Towns and with Trevor. And so yeah, this show is going to be, you know, it's a show where I just really sort of lay it out there, all of it, all the emotions, the highs and the lows. And I finish the show and I go to the dressing room and I sort of crumble into the couch and go, can't believe I have to do this again tomorrow. you know? Um, but it's a really beautiful experience and a lot of feelings come from it and a lot of joy and a lot of appreciation. And really it's my unfortunate honor to be the one that carries on the LFO legacy. So as long as people continue to allow me to do it, I'll be out there doing it.
Now, how is that for you? Like, have any of the songs just taken on kind of a new meaning now that the guys aren't with you?
Um, there's a song that I don't use in the show because you can't really do it without Devin, called "I Don't Want to Kiss You Goodnight." And I started sort of doing a new version of it, more
Okay.
related to losing the guys. It's not quite ready to be displayed to the world. I was hoping to have it ready for this tour, but you know, it just didn't come together. I mean, I went to the studio and tried my best. I just couldn't get it. But anyhow,
And then there'll be that day when you're just feeling it. You go in there and knock it out.
yeah, you're right, and that's kind of what my wife said. She's like, "Well, maybe it's just not time to do it now." But it's like, well, I wanted it now. You know what I mean? I wanted it today, but it's fine. I'll keep. I put it to bed after I hit the studio a couple days ago, and I wasn't happy with it. I haven't even touched it since then. I've got plenty of other things to work on, so I'll be working on that
Sometimes
stuff in the
that's
meantime.
how the magic happens.
No, this thing's like 5 years in the making already, though. I'll put it away for a while, and then I'll be
It's gonna be
inspired, and
really
I'll.
magic then.
I hope so.
So what else can fans kind of expect from your upcoming shows?
Well, you can expect to hear your favorite LFO songs. You can expect to hear some songs that maybe never were performed live before. Trevor and I are working on this cool medley of songs that we never really did live. Um, you're expect to cry because you're going to hear some hard stories, but I'm going to tell the LFO story in an authentic way. Then I have to tell the story, and truthfully, the story's tragic, right? These two young, handsome, talented men died way too young, and so in order to give the story justice, I have to tell it how it is.
I think that's an amazing way to deal with what you have been through. You're keeping their legacy alive. You're getting a chance to kind of speak about it and give the fans an inside view of it. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate that you're being vulnerable and letting the fans kind of hear the story and see that side of you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, when we're faced with adversity, our success and our healing is really dictated by our response. We have the ability to respond or the responsibility. And so it's hard sometimes when you're in the darkness to respond in a productive way. It's why it's good to have a good support system, friends or family or um, could be a could be a pastor, it could be a doctor. Like you need somebody on your side when you're going through a tough time. And then you also have to think about, in the case of where you lose somebody you love, you got to think about, well, what would they want from me? Like, would Devin have wanted me on my knees in my closet screaming at God, which is what I was doing? You know, no, he wouldn't want that. He'd want me to go out and live like he lived with a childlike awe and enthusiasm and um, pursue dreams and continue the legacy of the band that he loved. And so I think the same is from Rich. Rich loved LFO. Rich loved being on stage. There's nothing he loved more than being on stage. And so he loved it. Why would he want to see it die? So I really didn't set out to do this, you know. Even after Rich died, Devin and I really had no intention on bringing LFO back. But in 2016, we did a cameo appearance at a 98 Degrees concert, and it was 30 seconds long. The crowd went berserk, and we walked off the stage, and I said, "Man, Devin, that was a cruel joke, you know?" And 3 days later, I got a call from an agent who was at the show. He asked if we would consider bringing LFO back on the road, and we did that in 2017. Took the band with us. I drove the tour bus. We slept at truck stops. It was the greatest tour ever. And then a year later, Devin was gone. And so I really had put LFO to bed probably for a third or fourth time at that point. And then that's when the agent called again and said, "Hey, we have this Pop 2000 tour." At the time, Lance from NSYNC was hosting it. And he wasn't available for some dates and asked if I would come do it. And that was over 6 years ago now. So it's been really an amazing journey. And nothing I did not plan for this. I mean, you could say that, you know, maybe the 98 degrees thing was semi-intentional, where like, all right, I thought maybe something could happen from this. Um, but I had no intention on doing this Pop 2000 thing. And really it just started with just like it was like 3 shows. Like I just thought it was a one-time thing. And yeah, it's amazing sometimes when you step back and look at where your life goes. Um, in this case, I really prayed hard about it, so I feel like it was God's will. And yeah, I
Besides
can't.
besides your immediate support system, how have the fans kind of helped you get through some of the dark times?
Oh my gosh, at the end of this show, I'll do like selfies at the merch table, and it's one of my it's one of my favorite things, because I get a chance to talk to a lot of different fans, and the stories they share with me are just so heartwarming and sometimes heartbreaking. They'll tell me all about how much Devin and Rich and LFO meant to them and how our music helped them get through hard times. And I remember thinking at first, like, oh, what about our music helped you get through a hard time? Like, we don't say anything profound. But then I realized, you know what? It was an escape. You know what I mean? And I could think back to some times in my life where a certain album resonates with me because it was an escape from whatever I was going through.
Plus,
So I
you're
feel
on the
very
radio
honored.
a lot.
Yeah, I
So
feel
if
very
like
honored.
something happened at that moment and you're playing on the radio, you're linked to
Yeah.
that movement.
And then other ones will share stories of their own cancer journeys or of losing a friend or family member to cancer. Some of those stories are way more tragic than my story. And I try to remind people like my story is really not different than anybody else's story. It's just, because of my job, I have an opportunity to tell that story in public.
Mhm.
So yeah, the fans, and they thank me. Like every day it's like they're thanking me. And it's like, well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on the stage. Because you could easily be like, hey man, your bandmates are dead. You weren't even the main guy. Like, what are you doing here on stage? But instead they thank me for helping to keep the legacy alive. And the great thing about the show, like the Pop 2000 show, or even the LFO Story show, you give people a break from reality. Right? It's for me, music and entertainment should be a break from all that's happening in the world, whether it's politics or sports or what's happening at home with husbands, wives, children, jobs, a break. And you get 2 hours where you're back to being 15 again, you know?
Mhm.
And that's the beautiful thing about the Pop 2000 show for sure is you're just getting bombarded with hits from 1999, 2000, and 2001. It's beautiful. So yeah, it's been great. The fans have been a major support system for me.
Now, for the shows near, well, I guess near me, I'm like on the outskirts of Philly, like Allentown, sort of. in between. We've got Rivet January 30th, and
Hmm.
that's in Pottstown, PA. And
Hmm.
then Artie's on the 31st,
Hmm.
and that's in Frenchtown.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
Both venues
I,
are amazing. You have
yeah,
very nice
I,
couches to fall into.
yeah. Well, I haven't been to Rivet yet, but Artie's I've been to a couple times, and I handpicked it for this show. We played the show here there last year, and it was I'd played that show before, but I'd Artie's that night. It was the first time where it felt like everything was perfect because the show requires the attention of the audience because there's a lot of talking and there's a lot of serious talking. And so if you're at a venue where there's a bar in the back and people are just out there, chatting away, it takes away from the show. So the last time at Artie's and the people were just, I mean, Artie's does have a bar, but people were just engaged. They were locked on the show and it was awesome. So I'm really looking forward to being back at Artie's. I'm really looking forward to checking out Rivet. I haven't been there
I
before.
think you're gonna be really pleasantly surprised with Rivet also. They do have a bar off to the side and no like door, but it's I kind of get the feeling of like a old speakeasy, and it's
Oh, cool.
very like intimate and
Yeah, I
classy.
like
I
that.
like it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So I want to talk a little bit about back in the day. And I know we did talk about some things, but I kind of want to hear some of the little stories that like I wanted to ask through the years because I've been a fan
Okay.
for a while. So
Yeah.
I want to jump in with what was the chemistry for you guys like when like you guys were, let's say, right after like summer girls really hit? What was that chemistry like for you guys on stage and touring and just living the life?
Yeah, it was very exciting. It's a lot of energy that is generated from a large crowd of screaming girls, you know? And so, most times we get off the stage and just be like really just like enthusiastic and like adrenaline rush, right?
Mhm.
And I don't, it's funny. I watched the O Town guys, and man, they have such intense love for each other before and after the show. And that's one of the things I really missed was that pre-show ritual of whatever handshake you give each other. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
hug, the prayer, the kiss. Um, and so we had that. We always would do a prayer before the show, and kind of look. You can kind of look at each other and tell, like, Devin was amped up. I'd kind of encourage him. If Rich looked like a little nervous, I could give him the right look, or encourage him with some words. And we go out there every night and just try to smash the stage. And when the only thing I can really equate it to, um, I I can't. I guess I can't equate it to because I can't. I've never experienced this comparison, but I suppose it's probably similar to the chemistry people generate when they go to war together. Not that
Having to
being
read
a
each other and kind of like
well,
play off of each other's strength and weaknesses. I get it.
yeah, in one case, but also you experience extreme highs and extreme lows together, and you're away from home together for a long time, and you're having to figure out how to operate together and how to deal with each other's personalities and moods and make big decisions together, right? And so again, I'm not. going to war is way more serious and way more important than playing a concert or touring. But that's sort of what I think, um, the relationship you build with your bandmates, probably similar to that brotherhood that is generated from men who go to war together.
Definitely. So, where were you when your first song hit? Like, were you in the car? Or did you get a phone call?
You know, I don't remember. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I really don't remember. Um, I have a good memory in certain ways, or other ways I don't. So I don't know like where I was when Summer Girls really started to take off. Uh, but it was an exciting time, and you have a number one hit, and followed by a number three hit, followed by you know tours with Britney Spears, and it's like you feel like it's never going to end. And then you follow it up with another record and another big hit, and then all of a sudden it stops. You know, and it's an odd feeling when you go from having a number one hit to okay, it's over. You know, or at least paused. I don't think any one of us had the hindsight or foresight, I guess that would be, to imagine that 20 years later there'd be a market for us again. Maybe even a better market. Like I look and see what like Backstreet and New Kids are doing. They're I think they're bigger now than they were back then. I mean, they're playing some ridiculous shows.
Just post on TikTok, man. I posted Summer Girls. I posted it a couple times and done like little dances to it, but man, every time I post it, it, it gets so many views, so many likes. People are commenting underneath, like
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I got to get LFO on TikTok. I haven't done that yet. But
it's definitely like one of those songs that it just takes you back to a place that I don't know. For me, it was great,
no, I feel
but
I feel really blessed to be like part of a song that became iconic and has become a summer anthem. Like for me, like in high school, it was like Fresh Prince with that song "Summertime." And so there's a whole generation of teenagers who their summer song is "Summer Girls," and man, what a blessing to be the person partially responsible for that.
now what do you remember about recording your debut album?
The best memory I have of that, and I was just telling a friend of mine the other day about it, and he's like, "Oh, you got to tell the fans about it." Is we were in LA. I think it was a pretty bad neighborhood because the studio had like, I think it had like a barbed wire fence around it.
Mhm.
And we pulled in and there's a Range Rover sitting there in the parking lot. And we were doing a song that was being produced by a guy named TQ. And at the
Mhm.
time, he was a really popular, I think he was a rapper, and he was doing some production. And so we were recording a song called Forever, the ballad. And I remember Devin being in the vocal booth, and he's like chopping up these crazy ad libs, and TQ's in the control room, and he's like jumping, and he's making these dollar signs with his hands, like yeah, this is money. So that's probably my favorite memory from being in the studio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, what would you say was that first show that you played that was just like, wow, this is happening? Like, we're playing this huge show.
Yeah, I think the experience that really was the first one to make you go, holy cow, was we were doing an autograph signing and performance at a mall on Long Island. And we had no idea what to expect. It was the day our album was coming out. We were in the green room, which is like probably the lunchroom for the staff up near the food court. And we were kind of nervous, like we don't know what to expect. And they started walking us across the food court, and we had to go on this escalator and go down. But when you first get on the escalator, you can't really see what's at the bottom. It's like one of those like half walls. And so we're going down this escalator, basically in slow motion, and then all of a sudden, pandemonium. The people down there see us, and we see them. There's like 10,000 people in this mall going absolutely ballistic. And I remember, thankfully, there's a video of it. I mean, I was almost in tears. I just couldn't believe it. So that was probably the most iconic experience I can think of.
That's when it hit that you were officially a boy bander. Like they were
Mhm.
going to follow you
Well,
everywhere.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I even realized the love the fans had for boy bands at the time. I just thought, all right, yeah, we hit. We're gonna make this happen. Yeah.
So, out of all of the cities that you've played in, what would you say would be one of your favorite? I won't put you on the spot and say your favorite city, but what's one of your favorite spots to kind of play in and the crowd gets really hyped for LFO?
Well, I think back in the day, we really liked playing the House of Blues here in Orlando. We played there several times. Um, Today, it's hard to say. Like, I really love going out into like the Midwest, into like Iowa. We get a great reaction there. I just love the feeling of being out there, the space. Um, Northern California really is pretty intense place. Southern California, East Coast. I mean, it's hard to narrow down one city. New York City obviously is always an amazing place to play. And we got to play Madison Square Garden one time, which was like a dream considering I grew up in that area. Um, but
How big is that stage? Like for someone that it has played on it, is it really like as big as it looks when you're sitting
oh
down
yeah,
there? Because I always
it's
think
it's
like
yeah.
they're always
When
like,
you
yeah, you gotta have the people that work the stage, and I'm thinking whenever I'm there, I'm like, oh my god, this is such a big stage to be working.
I know, yeah, when you play in an arena, it's great. I mean, it's awesome. Obviously, you get a chance to play in front of that many people. If I had to choose play an arena or play like small theater, I would choose the small theater because you get closer to the crowd. And for the kind of music that we do, we really feed off the energy of the crowd. And so the more love the crowd shows, the better we play, honestly. So, but yeah, when you play those arenas, the stages are massive. Like it's almost you almost can't even try to like cover the entire stage because you wouldn't be able to do it. Or especially if we're doing some choreography, like getting back for choreography would be hard. So, but it's really quite amazing to hear an entire arena singing your song.
Were there any like big bloopers from any of like the big arena shows? Because I know, like with me, like I'm good with a certain amount of like a certain size crowd, but I'd be so nervous being up there in front of all those people. Like, were there any times that anyone either forgot the words or were just off or distracted by like someone in the crowd or just something crazy happened that just stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, not really. I mean, Rich was notorious for getting lines in Summer Girl, so I'd always back him up. And to this day, I got to really concentrate because if you get too lost in the crowd, you lose your space in that song. Um, but no, we really didn't have. Probably one of the funniest things I can think of is this is way back when, maybe 1997, before we hit, and we were touring with Backstreet Boys over in Europe, and it was the last show. And at the last show of a long tour, typically there's going to be some shenanigans. And and Kevin from Backstreet was doing this ballad, and he was like playing the piano and singing this ballad. And his best friend, who was also their head of security, he and I took off our shirts and went out on the stage and slow danced while he played his ballad. And yeah, the crowd thought it was funny, but Kevin didn't think it was very funny.
Oh my gosh, that see, but those are the fun things that people remember.
Yeah, for sure.
Like nowadays, if you guys had done that, it would be plastered on every single social media. You'd they would have it to all different like songs and sayings. So, which LFO song would you say is most personal to you today?
Um, that's a good question. Like Baby Be Mine was always like one of our favorites to perform. So I can't perform that without really thinking about the guys a bunch. Devin wrote a song called If I Had a Dollar. Devin just his voice was just so ridiculous, you know, and it makes me cry sometimes. Like I watched a little bit of the I Don't Want to Kiss You Goodnight video the other day, and just seeing him and hearing him, I was like, I mean, listen, I obviously Rich was super talented, great writer, great rapper, singer. I'm just talking about the kind of voice that really can elicit emotions in a person. Like I don't have it. Very few people have it. Dan Miller from O Town definitely has it. You know, um, AJ from Backstreet has it. Where
I just
and
saw a
it's
video of him the other day. He's so fun.
of who?
Of AJ. He was walking down, I think he was walking down the carpet for the Jennifer Hudson show, and he was dancing, like doing the whole thing.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's a good dude. Mm.
So
So
how would you say that LFO, what would you say that they taught you about success and what success means to you?
who taught me?
Like, what do you feel that being an LFO and the guys then, the guys now, like, what do you feel that it has kind of taught you about success?
I think the best way to define success of a person is by the kind of person they are and the effect they have on people and the way they take care of those closest to them, right?
Hmm.
So, um, like a man who worked 50 hours a week providing for his family, who went to his daughter's recitals and coached his son's baseball team, was faithful to his wife, was God fearing, who, you know, invested his money and stable life over, somebody who sold 5 million records but lived a reckless life and left a trail awake in his trail of broken hearts and broken dreams and financial screw ups, right? So success, yeah, you can sell a million records and consider yourself successful, but really it's about what do you do with that? I mean,
Hmm.
what do you do with that opportunity that you had? Um, so although I'm not selling millions of records anymore, I consider myself more successful today because, raising 7 kids and trying to be a good husband and gonna set a good foundation for my kids, give them some roots because one day you gotta give them wings, you know what I mean? So it's
How
hard to
did
measure
they feel?
success.
How did they feel about dad
Well,
being a
my
famous boy
my
bandit?
my older two, I think, are a little bit indifferent because they didn't really know me that way. Because when they were growing up, I wasn't doing this. So, when I started it, they were already teenagers, and I started it back. My younger ones, especially my 10 and 12, they're really into it. They love coming to the shows and helping out, and that's part of the great part about this season of the shows just getting a chance to experience it with my family. You know, um, I really enjoy it. I love it, and it's fun now. Like if a few of us are out there and we bring our kids, and all the kids are playing together. It's really special.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Well, I want to see I want to see you guys on TikTok. You got to get them like singing Summer Girls or doing something on there.
yeah.
The
Well,
younger
I'll get.
generation.
Yeah.
My he's almost 12 or he's almost 13, sorry. He he keeps me young with all that. Like uh, half of the songs I'm one of those people, I make up my own words,
Hmm.
especially like if I've learned the song with the words that I've created in my mind, like I'll sing it like that. He's the one that like he'll go back and he'll actually like know the words to songs that I've listened to for years. And he's
That's
like,
cool.
yeah, like this and that. The kids keep us young. They
Yeah,
do.
you're right about that.
So since we are getting close in time, I want to ask a question when I ask people what they would ask you if they were doing an interview. I got the same question from quite a few people. So
Okay.
I'm going to end it with this. Why Abercrombie and Finch? Why did you
I
pick
look
that brand?
by Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yep.
The song was inspired by an actual girl that Rich had met, and she was probably wearing Abercrombie and Fitch, and it also rhymed with Rich.
So it was the rhyming aspect.
I think the Abercrombie and Fitch part came first, personally. But that's not a question I ever asked him because I knew the girl that he wrote it about. So, and at the time, Abercrombie was dope. I mean, it was pretty cool at that time. So,
They're still
yeah,
really cool. You know what? It's funny because I was really trying to find a really cute crop top to wear for tonight, like that said Abercrombie across like the chest so that I could wear it on the show and like be like,
yeah,
oh yeah. But really hard to find a shirt
yeah. I
that
think
clearly
from what I
says
hear,
Abercrombie.
yeah,
Like I went to numerous stores. I put in work trying to find one. It didn't happen, but
you got to get them on eBay these days. From
it's
That's what I hear
still a
from the
thing. It's
fans.
still a big thing.
Yeah, no, they made a comeback. They had a tough run of it, but they're making a comeback now. But hey, it was good for them. It was good for us. There was no synergy between us. They weren't interested in working with us. They didn't think that we were their target audience. They were definitely wrong about that, but it was fine. It worked out well for them, worked out well for us, and maybe you'll find some Abercrombie before the show, and hopefully you'll be rocking it at the show. I look forward to seeing
Oh,
you
I'm
there.
definitely going to keep looking.
All
But
right.
thank you so much again for taking the time to come on. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to see you live. I can't wait to see Trevor and O Town perform. Again, if you're in the area, Rivet on January 30th and Artie's on the 31st. Are there any other shows that I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll
we're
be in
everywhere.
Fairfield, Connecticut on the 28th, New York City on the 29th, Rivet on the 30th, Artie's on the 31st, and Boston on the 1st.
Oh, so you're hitting all of them.
Yeah.
So you just got it there. All the info is going at the bottom of the page. If you didn't get a chance to write that down and you want to look it up, make sure you check out LFO and online. I wanted to just ask this real quick. LFO, but you guys are going by Lyte Funkie Ones online, correct?
No, when we first got together, we were the Lyte Funkie Ones. Then we realized how whack that was, so we just stuck with LFO. But certain records are still listed as Lyte Funkie Ones,
Yeah, when
because
I tried to find the music for my stories,
yeah,
it was coming up that. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone. So you heard it. LFO. Make sure you follow them. Make sure you get out to the shows. It's going to be so much fun. And at Friday night at Rivet, I'm going to be working the door. So come on and hang out with us. And if you want to bring a beach ball or wear Abercrombie, hey, you might get on Brad's story, or you might end up on my story, and you'll be really cool. So make sure that happens.
All right.
Thanks everyone for watching. See you next week.